Welcome to Walpole Five-0. I'm Chief John Carmichael. Today is December 20th, and before I get into some of the log entries, we just need to send out our heartfelt condolences to retired Chief Amandro Betro. Chief Betro passed away over the past couple of days, and Chief Betro was an amazing man, and he's going to be a tremendous loss for the Walpole community and absolutely a tremendous loss for the Walpole Police Department as well. Chief Betro was sworn in 1949, and he was promoted to sergeant in 1961, and in 1968 he was promoted to lieutenant. In 1974 he was appointed as the chief, and it wasn't until 1992 when he retired. So Chief Betro was a Walpole police officer for 42 years, and he was a chief of police for 18 years. And from everything, I never had the pleasure of working with him, but I do know that from, some of the other officers in the past that have worked with him, that Chief Betro is a true believer in education for police officers and police officers seeking higher education. Because back in the day it was an entry-level position where a lot of times guys came home from the military, or even non-military personnel would just basically walk on as a police officer and then train them and put them out on the street. But Chief Betro was a true believer in professionalizing the police department and preparing the department of the future. And when you see the things that the Walpole Police Department is still trying to do today, deal with drug problems and social issues, and the things that we see that occur in community policing and making face-to-face contact with the community, engage in the community, those are things he was doing a long time ago, and things that we still try and carry the torch with today. So Chief Betro, rest in peace, and to the family, the Betro family, our heartfelt condolences go out, and we're sorry for your loss, and absolutely a tremendous man, and thank you for your service to the Walpole community. The AAA awards, I just wanted to share that with the community. Congratulations to Officer Pat Moriarty. Pat got the Traffic Safety Hero of the Year award this year from AAA, and I'll just show that out. And just want to say thank you to Pat. He doesn't even know he got this yet, but he's going to know in about 20 minutes when I present it to him. So Pat's been recognized for his proactive work out there on the street and caring about traffic safety and motor vehicle stops and getting involved in some of our grant activity. We have grants out there like the Pedestrian Safety Grant, the Drive Sober, Get Pulled Over campaign, the Distracted Driver campaign, when we go out and we just look for people that, using cell phones, reading text messages, texting while driving, that kind of thing. And Pat kind of stood up this past year, and we appreciate all of Pat's hard work out there, and he's certainly deserving of this award from AAA, and we're very proud of him. Past recipients, Officer Luke Parlon got this award last year, and the year before that was Officer Maganello, one of our motorcycle officers, and before that was Officer Scott Koenig, who was also one of our motorcycle officers. So appreciate all of their efforts out there and keeping the streets of Walpole safe and making sure we have very sound traffic safety measures that are implemented out there. So great job. For the department, we also got the Silver Award, which, next year we're going for gold, but we got silver this year, and this is for the department's achievements in traffic safety, and again, kind of looking and dealing with issues such as distracted driving, OUI, pedestrian safety, and that kind of thing. So great job to the Walpole Police Department, great job to Officer Moriarty, and thank you for what you guys are doing out there. Jury duty. I got my summons to go to jury duty. I have to respond to that today, but quick note, jury duty is very important. Always a great civic obligation that we have, and I can tell you that from a police officer's perspective, when things don't end at the time of arrest. There's a lot of work and preparation that goes on after that point, and the prosecution part later on in court. And juries are so important because most of the time, with an OUI or something, they're going to go to a jury. Once in a while they jury waive and go with just a judge, but it's very important to make sure that we always have an adequate number of people and a good pool of candidates and a good pool of jury members that can show up at court. So your civic duty is very important. And I anticipate that I will be there that day. Probably won't get picked, but I'll be there. Quick update on the Econo Lodge shooting. So we had that shooting that occurred in Sharon at the Econo Lodge. However, it was on the Walpole line. One of the suspects involved fled into Walpole and discarded their firearm. We were able to recover that firearm. But an individual named Nikki Gomes of Brockton, 24 years old, was arrested by Brockton PD. This was on the Sharon PD warrant. And after they issued the warrant, Brockton PD went and they located Mr. Gomes, and Sharon was able to charge him with assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, assault with intent to murder, carrying a firearm without a license, discharging a firearm within 500 feet of a dwelling, and possession of ammunition without a firearms ID card. So great job, and I know I mentioned this before, but it was outstanding teamwork between Sharon PD and Walpole PD, state police helping out, and as well as Brockton. Our police officers being able to grab that registration plate while they were on detail was significant in this case, and just a great job all around, and good teamwork with everybody, and very happy to see that this individual is locked up where he should be. So we'll get into some of the log entries on December 13th, an unpaid fare. There was a dispute over a fare from a Uber driver, and those things happen. There was some kind of a dispute between the driver and the passenger, and we were able to solve that situation and restore peace with the two individuals. So that was settled between those two. We had a drug arrest. Officer Giblin, Moriarty, Benner, Songen were involved in this. This is a marijuana distribution arrest that occurred on Common Street. And it was a juvenile that was arrested, which, was one of my fears when we legalized marijuana, that, it creates a little bit more of a criminal opportunity for kids, because, it's still a hot commodity. It's $250 to $400 an ounce on the street for marijuana. And with our infinite wisdom in the way that this ballot proposal was put on, you can possess marijuana in certain amounts. You can cultivate marijuana in certain amounts. You can give away marijuana in certain amounts. But what you can't do is you can't sell it in Massachusetts. It's still illegal to sell marijuana in Massachusetts unless you're covered under the Cannabis Control Commission and you have a registration to do that. And the funny thing is that the Cannabis Control Commission won't be established until probably March, and then they won't start taking applications for retail marijuana establishments until September or October. And by January of 2018, they have to have their regulations all done and start taking applications for retail stores. So we're looking at more than a year away from now before they even start to issue these registrations. So what are people supposed to do? Marijuana is legal in Massachusetts. You have to go to the black market. You have to get it from drug dealers. And so a law that its intent was apparently to rid Massachusetts of the black market. What it actually does is makes it much worse and creates a gray market as well, where people who otherwise may not distribute drugs are going to do it now just because it's so profitable. So, unfortunately, this individual decided to not only possess marijuana, but to sell it, and therefore you can't do that, and he was arrested for it. We issued a warrant for an individual, Najib Dega. He's 29 years of age, and he's either from Sharon or Roxbury. Last known addresses kind of mixed up, so we're trying to locate him. We have a warrant for him for B&E and larceny. This is his picture right here. And this is the individual that is responsible for various car breaks, multiple car breaks in Walpole that I've reported over the past month and a half or so. And we've had upwards between 25 and 30 car breaks in Walpole. So we were able to identify this individual. using stolen credit cards. We tracked it back to him. We got an arrest warrant for him. We were able to locate a vehicle that he had been operating and driving around Walpole at night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, breaking into cars. And we were able to recover property that was relative to these car breaks that we were having, as well as other breaks that were occurring in the area. Detective Toland and Detective Sullivan did a great job on this one, and they were able to recover some property. The investigation is still ongoing, but we do have enough for a warrant for him. That's the good news. The bad news is that we're still having car breaks, so he's not the only one out there that's doing it. So we've had continued car breaks on High Street, Homewood Lane, McDonald Circle, Kendall Street area, Ridge Road, Beth Road area. So really spread out. We were just having them in North Walpole, then a couple in West Walpole, and then we had a series of them that occurred just in East Walpole. And now all of a sudden we had some more breaks that are very spread out. So the officers out there are going to continue to be vigilant, and I ask the community to be vigilant as well. Again, safeguard your property, keep everything locked up. Things that are valuable, leave that out of sight so that you don't have those window breaks. And hopefully we'll be able to locate the second person or persons that are involved in these car breaks. I reported a larceny of a television and I think it was a computer a week or two ago. We tried to identify those individuals who were involved. We didn't have much luck with it. They returned. They went back up to Walmart with the intent to steal more items. Somehow they were tipped off that the police were coming. They were able to flee and get away again. So, they know who they are, well, as far as at least what they look like. So if they keep coming back, then hopefully we'll be able to identify them. On December 14th, we had a hit and run at Dunkin' Donuts on Union Street. The second operator fled the scene. Sometimes with these parking lot crashes, like the individuals might think there's not enough damage or it's not worth me stopping and identifying myself. If you're involved in a crash, you still have to stop. You have to identify yourself. You have to prepare and show documents of the registration and your driver's license in the event that there has to be a claim filed. And claims have to be filed anytime there's over $1,000 worth of damage. And today, with today's vehicles, that's not a whole lot. I mean, a bumper is more than $1,000. This individual we were able to locate in Norwood and identify them and make sure that they were their paper. We had a paper exchange, and that the victim who had damage to their vehicle will be able to get reimbursed through their insurance. So great job by the officers on that one. We had an arrest at shoplifting at Walmart. Individual was arrested there. That was also on December 15th. We received another call of a request for a harassment prevention order. This was a result of threatening phone calls. This is one of those cases where the victim was getting hundreds of text messages and threatening messages left on their phone in a series that these two individuals had a relationship prior, and things didn't work out, and there's a issue that begins with harassment going back and forth. So now in Massachusetts is a 209A, which is a restraining order. And restraining orders are really for family members or people that had some substantial relationship together. A boyfriend, girlfriend, a husband, a wife, or brother-in-law, sister-in-law, that type of thing. There has to be some relationship that stems in order for someone to get a restraining order, and that there needs to be some abuse or that had taken place, an assault. And people can qualify for a restraining order. Harassment prevention orders are for people that never had that relationship, so they're for people that there's just two individuals. It might be an acquaintance, might not be, but that there's three series. There's a series of at least 3 events that occur where there's harassment taking place. And once those 3 incidents occur, those can be documented, and a person could seek a harassment prevention order, which is basically the same thing as a restraining order. And if the person violates it, they could be placed under arrest. So in this case, the individual was looking for that. We were able to help that. So you ever have a situation where this is ongoing harassment, documented events, you can apply for a harassment prevention order. Officer Haber has worked so we've talked about the Drive Sober, Get Pulled Over campaign. Officer Haber made several OUI arrests in the past week, in the past couple weeks. He's taken that detail multiple times. While he was working that detail, he made an OUI arrest on the 15th, and also subsequently found out that the individual had a suspended license. Failure to move over. So the failure to move over, a lot of times, our officers out there on Route 1, and they're pulling cars over, and they're in the breakdown lane. Sometimes they're even in the travel lane. So we always ask people to make sure that you move over to that lane and create some safety distance and some buffer for those police officers. Even if they stop cars out on Route 1, or if they end up going out on 95, it is a huge public safety issue, an officer safety issue. So please, if you see emergency vehicles in the breakdown lane, move over, take that lane over, and get over to your left so that you can keep them safe out there. So while Officer Haber was working this detail, that happened a couple of times to him, where people came right up beside him and they didn't move over. So he ended up stopping those vehicles as well and citing them. One of the individuals that he stopped and cited ended up having a suspended driver's license as well. And so Officer Haber summons that individual in for that charge. We had a car crash on West Street at Cedar. This had some injuries with this incident, and the operator was transported to Norwood Hospital. And as a result of that one, the operator would be charged with operating under the influence of liquor, and will be summoned in. And that's what usually happens if there's injuries and they have to go to the hospital. We obviously don't make an arrest. We summons the individual in for that charge at a later date. But the good thing is the person should be okay, and regardless of being impaired, that the person's all right. So December 17th, we had an overdose, and this involved a 28-year-old male. Narcan administration by the fire department, and this is very concerning because this is 124th overdose of between 2011 and 2016, and we obviously track those. I've talked about it before. We've had 31 overdoses this year so far, and that's significant. And I think I looked at some of the statistics that we have so far this year. We've had a total of 31 overdoses this year. We've used naloxone and Narcan 15 times. We've had 7 fatalities. And most of these overdoses, as I mentioned before, are opiate or opioid-related and polydrug use, which means they've used multiple drugs and created a deadly cocktail that somebody overdoses on. So this is very, very concerning. Our numbers continue to go up despite everything that we're trying to do. So it's going to be something that we're going to continue to monitor and continue to try and deal with and be very proactive with. Ironically, the individual involved in this case, in this overdose, was also a target of Operation Wolfgang, which was a federal and joint state and local law enforcement initiative that spanned over a couple of years. And a lot of the individuals associated with Operation Wolfgang were tied into the Mozart gang in Boston, and serious drug trafficking taking place, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. They identified 40 people or more that were kind of involved in this ring, and we were involved with it. We had our Officer Lagoa and Officer Crown, who are on our SWAT team, were involved with the operations of this, as well as a couple of our detectives who were all involved in this, the arrest and the sweep that was conducted by law enforcement the other day. And as a result, there was over 24 people that were arrested and will be charged federally because the FBI was involved in this one. And so that's a huge dent in the individuals that are out there that are supplying fentanyl and heroin and cocaine out there on our streets. And this same individuals are responsible for the drugs that have infiltrated their way into Walpole. And we know that based on the investigation, which I can't get into, but we know that there's ties from this particular organization supplying Walpole with these very dangerous drugs that are killing people. So we're glad that they're where they belong, behind bars, and hopefully that's where they're going to stay for a while. December 18th, a disturbance on North Street. This was a loud party that we had gone to twice. The second time, the first time we gave a warning, tried to quiet everything down, keep the peace. They chose not to do that. The second time we went back and arrested at least one individual for threats to kill and disturbing the peace. And then the party was dispersed and it was over at that point. So in this case, we also did a subsequent investigation, went back and looked at the address history there, and we determined that we've been to the same location 6 or 7 times over the past several months, 6 months, at least since July, and for the same type of stuff, disturbances, drinking, doing drugs, that kind of stuff. And as a result, we're going to charge the homeowner with keeping a disorderly household. That's a common law offense that typically is used when they just don't seem to be getting the point, and we don't plan on keep going to the same address and the same thing over and over and over again while they can disturb the neighbors and disturb the neighborhood. So one way to put an end to that is going to be that we'll charge the homeowner with keeping a disorderly household. And disorderly household means that we've gone there multiple times for the same thing over and over again. And at some point you got to send the message that you're in a tight-knit neighborhood there, and you just can't be having these types of parties and getting out of control and bothering all the neighbors. So hopefully that will keep things peaceful in the neighborhood for a while. December 19th, we had a larceny of a bicycle. This occurred in South Walpole, and that bike is still out there. So we're looking for an orange and black Trek 3500, and that was stolen out of somebody's yard in South Walpole. And if you see that bike around, let us know. It's orange and black Trek 3500. And report of syringes, caller reports syringes. So the thing with syringes, because of the substance abuse issues that we face, there are individuals that are out there that they're using this drug, they're using heroin or shooting heroin and fentanyl, and they discard their syringes in parking lots, the cemetery, on sidewalks and playgrounds and that kind of thing. And it's very dangerous. We ask that if you see these syringes laying around, don't touch them. Call us. We have no problem coming down and picking up the shops, and we'll bring out a shops container, and the officers will have universal precautions. They'll have gloves on and everything, so they can pick that up, put it in a shops container, and remove it, so that nobody's touching it, a kid doesn't step on it or anything like that, or pets or anybody else. But this has been a problem over the past few years, and something that as a community awareness thing, just be careful of those things, because you can have transfer of blood and that kind of thing if you get pricked by one of those needles, and it can be dangerous. We responded to a disturbance at East and Pearl on Route 1. This was over 2 individuals that were carded when they were trying to buy a drink or a couple of drinks at the bar, and the bartender asked for identification, tried to card them, and they didn't like it, so they started a disturbance, got into an issue between the bartender and these 2 individuals. Police responded up there. They ended up leaving after the police kind of ordered them to leave, and got into an Uber vehicle and drove off. But they were 21, so these guys, I wish I got carded still. But the 2, they were upset about that being carded, and someday they'll probably take that as a compliment, I guess. So we responded to a fight. This was a fight that was on Washington Street. This was kind of over by the time the police responded and got there. There was one individual that was placed into protective custody, and he was later released to his family and family member. So, and that's it. So that's all I have for today. Today is December 20th, 2016, and I thank you for watching today. And since it's right before the holidays, I might not see you the next time, so I just want to wish you, our Walpole community, a very happy Christmas, a Merry Christmas, a happy holiday, Happy New Year's, and thank you very much.